the moral leader of our nation. I have the pleasure to present to you Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr.
What's up, Braves? I hope you're all doing well. Our world is crazy right now, and I know it's not easy, but I want to encourage you to keep pushing because your goals are worth it. For those that don't know me, my name is Mr. Alexander, and I'm an equity specialist for our district. I'm also the advisor of the Black Student Union here at Bethel High School. Right now, we're here to honor, celebrate, and reflect on the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. What Dr. King stood for has had a major impact on my life and on who I am today. One of my favorite quotes of his is, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." I want to say that again. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Especially right now, I think it's important for us to keep that at the forefront of our thoughts. We have a very diverse school and community, and with that comes a lot of different experiences, beliefs, and ways of thinking. There's beauty and there's power in that. When we can embrace those differences, we get stronger, we get better. With everything going on right now, we need to be stronger than ever, and the only way to do that is to work towards Dr. King's dream by coming together. We need your leadership now more than ever. We need your voices right now. Big shout out to all the students you'll be hearing from today for taking a step and working to build a better tomorrow. I'm gonna keep it real. My sons are following in all of your footsteps. Thank you all for working to pave the way for them to live in a better world than the one I grew up in and a better world than the one you're growing up in. Thank you, and be cool to each other.
Thanks, Mr. Alexander, for those powerful words. What's up, Braves? My name is Aaron Alexander, and I've culminated students across the school to share their own perspectives on who Martin Luther King Jr. was and what he means to us and this country. This video is meant to spread affection and to recognize what an impactful person MLK was and how we can honor him still today.
Martin Luther King Jr. was a social activist and a major figure in the American Civil Rights Movement. His work was fundamental to ending the legal segregation of African Americans in the South and across the U.S.
Luther King Jr. is most commonly known as one of the largest influences and voices for the Civil Rights Movement. He spoke out against racial inequality and fought for human rights to be given to the African Americans in acts of nonviolence.
I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation.
Some of you may not know exactly what Dr. King's dream entails. Dr. King fought for the total equality of all Americans when it came to Black American rights compared to white Americans. King constantly repeated the phrase, "I have a dream," to share his vision and to reiterate that his beliefs are attainable.
MLK Day is a day of reflection, a day to look back at our past mistakes and to look forward onto how we can create a nation of unity and total equality. It's an important day in our nation's history. We all must take this time to reflect on our past mistakes and the mistakes of others around us and what we can do to correct those mistakes and move towards this goal.
MLK is not only important to me, but to others in America, simply because he gave us a voice to advocate for change, a voice to advocate for equality. MLK is an influential leader whose words and actions will forever be engraved in our minds.
MLK Day to me is a day to celebrate Martin Luther King Jr.'s life and achievements. He fought for racial equality so that Americans can come together as one and end racial segregation.
I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Martin Luther King Jr.'s message and speeches are very important in today's world. As a nation, we need to look back and reflect what he fought for and the racial inequality problems in our country today.
Throughout this past year, it has become very apparent that this dream is far from being fulfilled. Although we have made remarkable progress since the beginning of the Civil Rights Movement, such as Barack Obama being the first African-American president of the United States, and Kamala Harris being the first female African-American/Indian American Vice President of the United States, and many other persons of color holding positions of power, There is still a lot of reform that has to take place before we can say that Martin Luther King's dream is even nearly complete. MLK once said, "I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by their character." There's a different type of pain that I feel when I'm out in public with my friends and a total stranger looks at me and smiles, but then stares at my friends uneasily like they are threatened by being in the same mall or being at the same basketball court getting runs in.
We need to acknowledge the fact that racism still exists. Some people say they don't see color. However, we need to see color. We need to understand the struggles of Blacks and people of color in America. We need to understand that in the society we live in, someone will always have the upper hand in life solely because their skin is white. We need to educate ourselves and not wait for others to teach us history. We need to take responsibility to learn about the world around us and our role in it. Lastly, we can't be bystanders. We need to stand up against racism, discrimination, and social injustice. It may be scary, but this is one of the only ways change can happen.
We face the difficulties of today and tomorrow. I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
What we can do as students at Bethel High is simply to be respectful to one another. Most of us are different. We all come from different walks of life, different experiences that mold us into the growing adults we are today. We have to educate each other on these experiences and how they've affected us. We have to have a sense of community and affection for one another to truly achieve MLK's dream.
Stand up and speak out against injustices you see in the school and the nation, and continue to have tough discussions regarding race and injustice. Reach out to a classmate or peer who may have a different background than you, and this will help you gain perspective on the issue, to be more engaged and have a more meaningful impact.
One day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. We will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, "Free at last, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last."
Although the U.S. has had many milestones in history, MLK's dream is still not complete. To this day, many Blacks and people of color in America still face racism and discrimination solely because of their skin color. It is evident that we live in two different versions of America, one that wants change and equality, and another that is content with using fear and hatred to be superior to others.
Martin Luther King should be important to every single person that's watching this, because truthfully, not all Americans are created equal. There are marginalized groups throughout this country being affected horribly by outdated laws, whether that be economically or socially. There still is racism and bigotry throughout this country, and personally, I've been affected by this. It's not okay. We see events like this on social media or on news outlets where there are two sides constantly fighting each other. Instead of fighting each other, it's time to empathize with one another, to honor Dr. Martin Luther King's dreams and sacrifices.
At this time.